What if I told you that the version of you you've been dreaming of, the confident, successful, fulfilled you, already exists right now? That you don't have to wait, chase, or struggle for it, you simply have to step into it. Because the moment you begin to experience your desired self now, the world has no choice but to follow. Can you imagine being the person you long to become? Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Can you feel it so real that the world itself bends to the image you hold within? This, my friend, is the secret most overlooked. You are not becoming, you are being. Your future self already exists in the invisible realm of imagination. When you close your eyes and see yourself as you wish to be, you are entering that reality. Every feeling you accept as true in imagination will harden into fact. This is not mere philosophy, it is law. The law of assumption states that what you assume to be true becomes your world. So, dare to live from the end. Think from the wish fulfilled, not of it. Don't look at your desire, look as it. Let every thought, every emotion, every word reflect the consciousness of your fulfilled dream. You do not have to wait for evidence, you are the evidence when you feel it real within. Close your eyes tonight and walk as your future self. Feel the tone of that reality. Hear your friends congratulate you. Sense the satisfaction of having already arrived. This inner act is not imagination, it is creation. For the outer world is nothing but the shadow of your inner assumptions. Live boldly in your imagined end. The world will conform. The bridge of incidents will unfold, and what was unseen will take form before your very eyes. The moment you accept it inwardly, your future self is no longer future. It is now. Your imagination creates your reality, for it is the workshop of your soul, the place where every unseen cause is born. Whatever you hold vividly in imagination, whether consciously or unconsciously, will shape itself into the events, conditions, and circumstances of your world. You are not a passive observer of life, you are the creator clothed in human form. Everything that you experience externally first existed internally as a picture, a belief, or a feeling. The outer world is nothing more than your imagination objectified, the reflection of what you have consented to as true within yourself. When you imagine, you are not playing with idle thoughts, you are touching the very substance of reality. Every mental image, when felt deeply and consistently, becomes a seed that must bring forth after its kind. The invisible acts of imagination are the true causes, while the visible world is merely the result. If you would change anything in your life, you must first change the images you entertain in your mind and the emotions that accompany them. The universe does not respond to what you want, but to what you imagine as real and true. To imagine is to see with the inner eye, to look beyond appearances and give life to the unseen. When you dwell upon lack, you reproduce lack. When you dwell upon abundance, you reproduce abundance. The creative power within you makes no judgment. It simply expresses what you assume to be true. This is why it is vital to guard your imagination and direct it deliberately. Every time you replay a memory of failure or disappointment, you are recreating it in your present. Every time you imagine success, joy, or fulfillment and feel it real, you are summoning those experiences into being. Imagination is not mere daydreaming. It is the divine act of creation itself. When you imagine lovingly, you are exercising the same power that shaped the stars and brought the universe into existence. You become a conscious participant in the eternal act of creation. You are never limited by the facts of your current reality, for facts are only the frozen imaginations of the past. The moment you imagine something new and accept it as real, you set in motion an unseen chain of events that must lead to its fulfillment. To live consciously means to imagine consciously. Begin each day by entering in imagination the state of your fulfilled desire. Feel its reality, breathe its atmosphere, and let it saturate your being. Refuse to accept appearances that contradict your vision. Persist in the inner, knowing that imagination creates reality, and soon the outer world will bend to your inner conviction. Everything begins and ends within your imagination, for it is the creative power of God expressing through you in every moment. The future self already exists in consciousness, for all states of being are eternal and ever present within the infinite mind. You are not creating something new when you desire a better life or a higher version of yourself. You are merely selecting from the limitless states that already exist. Every possible version of you, strong or weak, wealthy or poor, loved or unloved, fulfilled or empty, lives now in the eternal present. Time is not a movement from one point to another, but a change in awareness, a shift in consciousness from one state to another. When you imagine yourself as you wish to be and persist in that feeling, you are aligning with the state where that version of you already lives. Your future self is not waiting somewhere in time, it is a vibration, a consciousness, an inner reality existing right now within you. To reach it, you do not travel forward in time, you rise in awareness. You leave behind the old assumptions, thoughts, and reactions that belong to the former state and clothe yourself in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. The moment you occupy this new state inwardly, the outer world begins to rearrange itself to reflect it. You are not becoming your future self, you are remembering it. Consciousness unfolds what you have already accepted as true. Imagine yourself standing where you wish to stand, speaking as the person you long to be, feeling the emotions of that completed reality. The more vividly and faithfully you dwell in this assumption, the more natural it becomes, and the more the old state fades from experience. Your outer world is only a shadow of your inner identity, and when your identity changes, the world must follow. Every new self-concept opens a doorway to a parallel version of reality that matches it perfectly. You are never stuck. You are simply focused on one version of yourself, among many that exist eternally in consciousness. The key is to stop looking for signs and start feeling the reality within. The future self does not need proof. It knows it is already fulfilled. You connect with it through faith. Faith not in something outside of you, but in the creative power of your own imagination. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to merge with that version of yourself. Once you do, the bridge of incidents will appear, guiding you naturally toward the outer manifestation of what you have already accepted inwardly. Every time you imagine lovingly, you are calling forth a new version of yourself. Every time you persist in the assumption that it is already done, you are shifting your consciousness to that state. The future self is not distant or separate. It is here in the invisible realm of consciousness, waiting for you to identify with it fully and live from its reality. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, for this is the secret act that bridges the unseen and the seen, the invisible and the visible. Desire is not meant to torment you, but to guide you toward the recognition of what already exists within consciousness. The wish fulfilled is not a distant event, but a state of being that you can enter at any moment through the power of feeling. When you assume the feeling of your desire as already realized, you withdraw attention from lack and plant yourself firmly in fulfillment. You cease asking when or how, and instead begin to live from the end, where the desire is already complete. To assume the feeling means to inwardly accept that the thing desired is yours now. It is not a matter of pretending or forcing belief, but of surrendering to the inner conviction that what you have imagined exists in the unseen realm and must appear in form. Feeling is the secret key because it is the language of the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not respond to words, it responds to the emotional tone, the state of being you occupy. When you feel that your wish is fulfilled, you impress this reality upon the deeper self, and it begins to express it through your world in ways beyond reasoning. Every external condition is the shadow of an internal assumption. When you persist in the feeling of success, love, or freedom, even when appearances contradict it, you are rewriting the pattern of your reality. The assumption sustained becomes fact because consciousness alone is causative. This is why Neville Goddard taught that you must think from your desire, not of it. Thinking of your desire keeps it distant. Thinking from it brings it to life. To feel yourself to be already what you long to be is to become that in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. Enter the silence of your imagination and let the scene of fulfillment unfold naturally. See yourself as you would if your wish were now a fact. Hear the voices that would congratulate you. Feel the warmth of accomplishment. and breathe in the atmosphere of satisfaction. Let it be so real to you inwardly that the outer world fades in significance. When this feeling becomes natural, you are living in the state of the wish fulfilled, and no power on earth can prevent its externalization. You need not struggle or strive, creation is finished. You are simply moving through states of awareness, and each assumption determines the world you experience. Assume the feeling tonight before sleep, for in that drowsy borderland between waking and dreaming, the subconscious is most receptive. Let the feeling of the fulfilled desire sink deeply until it takes root. What you feel is true, you create. What you assume with conviction, you live. The unseen act of feeling fulfilled is the creative act itself, live from the end, not toward it, for to live toward the end implies separation from your desire, while to live from the end declares unity with it. The moment you live from the end, you are no longer a seeker, but the possessor. You cease longing for what you want and begin to embody it as your present reality. This shift in consciousness is the turning point of manifestation, for the world around you can only mirror the state of being you occupy within. Living from the end is not about hoping or wishing, it is about inwardly assuming that your desire is already fulfilled and allowing your thoughts, emotions, and actions to flow naturally from that state. To live from the end means to see the world through the eyes of the one who already has what was once desired. If wealth is your goal, you must feel the ease, confidence, and gratitude of one who already lives in abundance. If love is your desire, you must walk with the warmth and security of one who is already loved. This inner identification with the fulfilled state is the secret that dissolves all obstacles. For the external world cannot resist the conviction of one who knows their desire is done. You are not trying to make it happen. You are recognizing that it has happened in the unseen and now await its reflection in time. Living from the end is the art of inner faith. You must dare to feel the reality of your dream, even when every sense denies it. The senses reflect the past, but imagination creates the future. When you persist in feeling that your desire is already yours, you are reconditioning your subconscious mind, which in turn alters the outer world to match your new inner assumption. The bridge of incidents that follows will appear natural, yet every step will be guided by the unseen hand of your new state of consciousness. This way of living requires inner discipline, for the mind loves to drift back into doubt and limitation. But each time you catch yourself thinking of your desire, gently return to thinking from it. Ask yourself, if it were already true, how would I feel now? How would I act? How would I think? Let those answers guide you into alignment with your desired reality. Every thought, word, and feeling that flows from this state is creative power in motion. You do not wait for proof before believing. Belief itself is the proof. The outer world is slow to catch up, but it must conform eventually to the inner assumption. The moment you decide to live from the end, you leave behind the struggle and enter the ease of creation. You walk as though it is already done, speak as though it is already yours, and feel as though you have arrived. The outer world becomes the echo of your inner certainty, revealing in form what you have accepted in faith. Feeling is the bridge between unseen and seen, for it is the invisible power that unites imagination with manifestation. Every thought you hold, every image you form, remains powerless until it is charged with feeling. Feeling is the creative force that gives life to what you conceive in mind, the energy that transforms an abstract idea into an experienced reality. You may imagine endlessly, but without the corresponding emotion that declares it real, the vision remains dormant. When you feel the reality of your desire, when you inwardly touch it and sense its truth, you open the pathway for it to flow from the unseen realm of consciousness into the visible world of form. The unseen world is your imagination, where every possible reality already exists. The seen world is its shadow, the reflection of what you have accepted as true within. Feeling stands between these two worlds, translating the invisible pattern into tangible experience. It is not enough to think of a better life. You must feel yourself living it. It is not enough to imagine success. You must sense the joy, the gratitude, the inner calm of one who already possesses it. That feeling of fulfillment is the bridge. the connection through which the unseen becomes seen, the imagined becomes real. Your feelings are creative instructions to the subconscious mind. They are the signals that tell infinite intelligence what to express through your world. The subconscious does not respond to reason or logic. It responds to emotional conviction. When you feel something deeply and consistently, whether good or bad, the subconscious accepts it as fact and begins to arrange circumstances to match it. This is why faith is not blind belief, but a deep inner feeling of certainty. When you feel it real, you have already crossed the bridge. The manifestation is simply the echo of your inner acceptance. Feeling must precede the fact because creation happens from within out. If you wait for the world to give you reason to feel fulfilled, you are living in reaction, not creation. But if you begin to feel fulfilled before there is evidence, you activate the law of assumption, and life mirrors your inner state with perfect precision. To change your reality, you must first change the emotional tone that dominates your consciousness. What you feel persistently, you invite continuously, for feeling is the magnet of experience. Enter your imagination and dwell in the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Let it be so natural that you lose awareness of the present condition. Feel the joy of having already received, the relief of completion, the peace of attainment. As this feeling becomes your dominant mood, you have built the bridge, and the unseen must crystallize into form. The world of experience is molded by the world of feeling, and what you inwardly consent to emotionally, you outwardly encounter physically. You are not becoming, you are being. For the self you seek to become already exists within you as a state of consciousness waiting to be recognized. The journey of life is not one of transformation from one thing into another, but of awakening to what has always been true. You are not traveling toward your higher self. You are remembering it. Every desire you hold is a call from the deeper part of you that already is the thing desired, urging you to align your awareness with that eternal truth. In the infinite realm of consciousness, all states exist now, and you move among them by changing your perception of self. To believe that you are becoming implies separation between you and your ideal. It places fulfillment somewhere in the future, always just beyond reach. But when you realize that consciousness is the only reality, you understand that the future self is not ahead of you in time but within you in awareness. You shift from striving to being the thing itself. The moment you assume the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you occupy the state of being that expresses it. You do not grow into success, love, or peace. You reveal them by assuming their consciousness here and now. You are being every moment of your life, even when you believe you are becoming. The thoughts you entertain, the emotions you nurture, the identity you claim, these are acts of being. You are never incomplete, only unaware of the completeness already within. To be is not to acquire something new, but to accept what is eternally yours in imagination. When you cease identifying with lack, you discover abundance. When you stop seeing yourself as one seeking love, you become love itself. Every outer condition mirrors the inner state you are being right now. To live consciously is to choose what you are being. If you wish to experience a different reality, change your state of being by changing your inner assumption. Feel now as the person who already possesses what you desire. Think their thoughts, walk in their confidence, breathe their peace. The outer world has no choice but to reflect this inner shift, for it is only the shadow of consciousness. The illusion of becoming dissolves the moment you claim your new identity and live from it. You are being the cause of your world at all times. Whether you realize it or not, your world is the echo of your self-concept. To say, I am, is to declare the state you are being, and whatever follows, I am, shapes the substance of your reality. Stop striving to become what you already are. The higher self you dream of is not ahead of you, but within you now, waiting for your recognition. When you rest in the awareness of being, life ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a reflection of your chosen identity. The world mirrors your dominant assumptions, for reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of what you believe to be true. Every event, circumstance, and encounter in your life is the reflection of your inner convictions. The law of consciousness operates with perfect precision. Whatever you assume and persist in feeling as real must externalize itself through the fabric of your world. You do not observe reality, you project it. The outer is always a mirror of the inner, reflecting the state of consciousness you most consistently occupy. When you change your assumptions, you change your world, for the world is powerless except to reveal what you have accepted within yourself. Most people live as though the world acts upon them, unaware that they are the source of all they perceive. They assume the world is fixed and they must adapt to it. Yet the opposite is true. The world bends to the pattern of your dominant inner beliefs. When you hold an assumption, whether of success, failure, love, or rejection, life reorganizes itself to confirm it. This is not punishment or reward, it is law. Consciousness, being one with creation, can only reflect the state it holds. To look for change in the outer world, while maintaining the same inner assumptions, is to look into a mirror and expect a new reflection, without altering the face that gazes into it. Dominant assumptions are those thoughts and feelings you return to repeatedly, until they harden into conviction. You may affirm new ideas for a moment, but if you continue to feel the old reality as true, the old pattern will persist. The subconscious does not respond to fleeting wishes, it accepts only the emotions you consistently inhabit. When you assume lack, you encounter situations that confirm scarcity. When you assume abundance, you meet opportunities that affirm prosperity. Life gives you evidence of what you have inwardly accepted as fact. To change your reflection, you must first change your assumption. Begin by imagining the world as it would appear if your desire were already fulfilled. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the gratitude of having what you seek. Do not wait for the mirror to change before you smile. Smile now, and the reflection will follow. Persist in your new assumption until it feels natural, until the old state loses its power. Once your new feeling becomes dominant, reality must conform, for the world has no choice but to echo your inner truth. Every relationship, event, and condition is a mirror showing you who you believe yourself to be. If you meet criticism, ask what belief within you invites it. If you encounter love, recognize it as a reflection of the love you have assumed within. The world is your mirror, perfectly reflecting your dominant state of being, waiting always for you to decide what you choose to see. Inner acceptance precedes outer manifestation, for nothing can appear in your external world until it has first been accepted as true within your consciousness. The outer world is not the cause but the effect, the visible shadow of your invisible beliefs. Everything that happens to you arises from what you have consented to feel real in the depths of your being. You may hope, wish, or desire for change, but until you accept it inwardly as a present fact, it remains beyond reach. Acceptance is not forced belief or mental effort, it is quiet knowing, the still conviction that what you have imagined is already yours. When you truly accept something inwardly, you no longer struggle for it or wonder how it will come. You rest in the feeling of completion, as though the work were finished. This inner certainty sets in motion unseen forces that begin to shape the outer world in harmony with your new assumption. The subconscious mind, which governs the patterns of your reality, is influenced only by what you deeply accept as true. It cannot distinguish between what is physically present and what is vividly imagined with feeling. The moment you inwardly consent to a new state of being, that state begins to externalize itself through events, circumstances, and people that align with your acceptance. To accept inwardly means to live as though it were already done. It is the art of assuming the end and walking in the feeling of its fulfillment. The world around you may still reflect the old belief, but if you remain faithful to the inner knowing, the outer picture must change. You are never waiting for manifestation. Manifestation is waiting for your acceptance. The delay is never in time but in belief. The instant you accept the new reality within yourself, you have crossed the invisible line from desire to possession. Inner acceptance is a shift in identity. You no longer see yourself as one hoping for change, but as one who already embodies it. This change of self-concept alters your vibration, your reactions, and your perspective. Life begins to rearrange itself according to your new inner stance. Acceptance opens the door to manifestation because it aligns your inner state with the outcome you seek. To resist or doubt is to block the flow. To accept is to allow creation to unfold effortlessly. You cannot deceive consciousness. It responds not to words or appearances, but to the feeling of being. When you inwardly accept abundance, love, or success, you send a clear command to the unseen intelligence that governs your reality. It must obey the conviction you hold. Acceptance is the seed from which manifestation grows, the invisible agreement between the seen and unseen. When you claim it inwardly with certainty, life begins to mirror that certainty outwardly in perfect correspondence with your inner state. Every imagined act is a creative act, for imagination is the divine power through which all things come into being. Every scene you construct, every image you hold, every emotion you attach to an idea is an act of creation taking place within consciousness. The unseen world of imagination is not fantasy, it is the workshop of reality, where every event and circumstance is shaped before it appears in form. When you imagine something with feeling and persistence, you are impressing it upon the subconscious mind, which then expresses it through the outer world with perfect fidelity. Nothing in your life happens by accident. Everything you experience is the result of imagined acts, whether deliberate or unconscious. You are imagining every moment of the day, often without awareness. The conversations you replay in your mind, the fears you dwell upon, the desires you picture, all generate subtle energies that mold your reality. The subconscious accepts every image you present to it, regardless of whether it is wanted or unwanted, true or false. It does not judge, it creates. Therefore, every imagined act is creative, because imagination is the cause of all expression. The outer world is the shadow of your inner life, the reflection of what you have conceived and felt within yourself. When you realize this, you begin to use imagination consciously, no longer as a servant to fear, but as a channel for deliberate creation. To imagine is to see with the inner eye, to call things that are not seen as though they were. When you imagine lovingly, you are aligning with the creative nature of God within you. Each time you construct a scene of fulfillment and feel its reality, you are performing a sacred act of creation. The unseen responds instantly, setting into motion the invisible chain of events that will bring your imagined act to life. What the world calls coincidence or chance is simply imagination objectifying itself through natural means. Every imagined act carries within it the seed of manifestation. When you persist in revising past experiences or envisioning future outcomes in alignment with your desire, you are altering the structure of your inner world, and the outer world must follow. Imagination is not limited by time, it transcends it. By revising an event in imagination and feeling it real, you change its effect in the present. The creative power within you operates beyond logic or sequence, obeying only the conviction of your assumption. To live consciously is to imagine deliberately. Every time you close your eyes and feel something as true, you are sowing a seed into the field of consciousness. Whether it is a moment of fear or of faith, that seed must bear fruit after its kind. The world around you is your imagination made visible, and every imagined act, no matter how small, contributes to the great tapestry of your reality. Experience your desired self now, and the world will follow, for the outer world is always an obedient servant to the inner state you occupy. You do not wait for circumstances to change before feeling like the person you wish to become. You feel it first, and the world aligns itself to that inner transformation. The power that shapes reality does not reside outside of you, it moves through you, responding perfectly to the state of consciousness you sustain. Every moment you live from your desired self, even in imagination, you are constructing the invisible framework of the future that must appear. The outer scene cannot resist the conviction of an inner state fully accepted as real. To experience your desired self now is to claim your identity consciously. It is to say within yourself, I am what I desire to be, and to feel the truth of that statement even if nothing yet confirms it. The imagination is not pretending, it is becoming. When you inwardly adopt the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer seeking change, you are embodying it. The mind that seeks and the mind that possesses cannot coexist. The moment you step into the feeling of possession, desire dissolves, for fulfillment has already been achieved in consciousness. From that inner fulfillment, the outer reflection naturally arises, often through channels you could never predict. Most people wait for the world to show them proof before they dare to feel successful, loved, or free. But the law of consciousness operates in reverse. It is the feeling that creates the fact, not the fact that creates the feeling. The unseen self you dare to experience inwardly sets the pattern that the visible world must echo. You can only experience what you are conscious of being, and consciousness is changed not by effort but by assumption. Each time you think, speak, or act from the reality of your desired self, you reinforce the new state until it becomes natural. Once it feels natural, it must externalize itself as the circumstances of your life. You are never waiting for anything outside of you to change. You are only waiting to fully accept the change within. When you wake in the morning, enter at once into the mood of the person who already lives the life you desire. Walk, speak, and think from that place. The world may initially contradict you, but persistence in the feeling of fulfillment will bend reality to your assumption. The bridge of incidents will unfold, leading you through perfect and natural steps toward the realization of what you already are. To experience your desired self now is to move beyond time, beyond delay, into the eternal present where all creation exists. In that awareness, you cease striving and begin knowing. The outer world, being but a mirror, has no choice but to follow the reflection you hold within, for it must mirror faithfully the self you have chosen to experience as real,